Hi, I'm Tom from Flair. Today I'll be joined by Luke and Ivonne from PDF Butler. PDF Butler is a document generation solution built on Salesforce. And as a Salesforce-focused company, PDF Butler has found Flair to be very beneficial. In this video, we'll discuss how having an HR solution can help you centralize important data, bring structure to daily processes, and save time as your company grows. To get started, could you just introduce yourselves and describe what your roles are at PDF Butler?
Yeah, I'm Ivonne. I've been working at PDF Butler for nearly 3 years. I'm a solutions consultant, so I'm involved in pre-sales and sales, basically.
So my name is Luke White, and I'm the operations director here at PDF Butler. So my responsibilities across the company, fundamentally, including the sales and marketing team, and implementing new solutions that can help the efficiencies of the company.
Okay, great. So maybe you could just talk us through what it is that PDF Butler does.
So yeah, in fact, we're a Salesforce ISV. So therefore, we've built applications on top of Salesforce. We focus on documents, predominantly document generation and digital signature. But we also have another range of solutions in and around document automation, so sending out batches of documents in one go through an automated process. Salesforce users can obviously access documents in Salesforce, but if they're not a Salesforce user, with Collaboration Butler, they could also view those documents through their SharePoint or Google Drive. And then finally, we have a Form Butler as well, which is an online data enrichment. So fundamentally with us, it comes to, if you think about documents on Salesforce, then you can think about PDF Butler and our suite of products, and we've normally got a fit for it. And of course, combining those products together can create a really smooth, user-friendly experience for the end customer, but also the user inside the Salesforce org.
Okay, great. So there are a few other solutions doing a similar thing that are also in this like e-signature market. Why is it that customers choose PDF Butler over maybe one of your competitors?
Yeah, so it's a good question. So we are constantly evolving our product. We have sort of 3 major releases a year. We're actually releasing new features. Some of them are smaller, some of them are bigger, on a weekly, bi-weekly basis. So we're always trying to improve the way that our system works, and also can adapt to the changing needs that companies have. And another key factor that makes us different as well is in and around our focus. So we are almost 100% focused on Salesforce. So therefore, we give all of our attention to the Salesforce ecosystem, meaning that we're on top of any of the changes that Salesforce do, where they're able to react quickly as well. And one final factor I think that makes us different is the way that we've built the platform to start with. We've really focused on, one, the ease of implementation, but I think more importantly, the ease of maintenance after the implementation. So if we think about a quote or an invoice, they are business critical documents that have to be changed and updated almost immediately. So with our solution, we can empower our customers to make those changes without the need of a project team or of a super experienced person. It can be handled by sometimes a more junior person as well.
We offer support like during and before the implementation, after the implementation, and this doesn't come as an extra cost. So that's something that is very, very positive, and that our customers appreciate a lot. If those reviews they just talk about our support because it's very responsive, and like they just help you, and they jump on in calls with customers just the same day. So that's something that we do. And we take pride on that.
Cool. So maybe moving on to HR topics. How would you describe the culture at PDF Butler? So I've sort of noticed that you're based in Belgium, but you also are recruiting outside of Europe in places like Australia, Japan, US. Is it a remote company, or do you have an office as well where you get together and work in person?
So we are a 100% remote company. So we've got the company started in Belgium. So obviously the initial staff members all are in Belgium, including the development team, etc. But we've expanded out since. So we've got people in the UK, people in the US, people across mainland Germany, and also we've got some colleagues in Japan as well, so covering the APAC area. So completely remote, 100% remote. We like to get together a couple of times a year, especially as a sales team and a marketing team. We like to get together, and also our success teams a couple of times a year. And also we go to an awful lot of events, so Salesforce events and Salesforce community events as well. So we also use them as good points where we can get connected and meet each other sort of face to face and have conversations, and of course have a drink or two as well, which is always a benefit of getting together.
So how do you get over the challenge of like collaborating across different time zones and across different locations? Do you use like software for that? Is that something that you use Flair for as well, or?
So yeah, we use Teams a lot. We're a sort of Microsoft company in terms of what we use from a sort of a tech stack point of view a lot. So we have obviously Teams to communicate and have all our meetings through. We have a weekly sales call and a weekly marketing calls and one-to-ones on a weekly basis as well, where we can get in contact, feel what's happening. The sales call is very much, a pipeline, what's happening, updates, etc. Then we have our one-to-one calls. The managers have their one-to-one calls, which is much more like digging a little bit deeper into the pipeline and also talking about, hey, how's life, etc. General sort of stuff, not just always work related as well. We just scratched the surface when it comes to the Flair in terms of that part of it. So we've just actually launched our first survey that's gone out via the Flair platform. So our marketing team wanted to ask the sales team a number of questions in and about what the marketing team could help the sales team with content, keywords, etc., maybe to increase our SEO. So that's been a great use so far. So that's gone out, so we can now see the feedback. It's all collected in one place. You leverage that. So that's what we've been using it for. And also we've got the announcements section of Flair, which we're yet to dive into, but we use the surveys was definitely the first step to help that communication on the Flair platform.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's interesting to hear that you found a use case for the surveys feature that's actually like kind of outside of HR. But that's pretty interesting. So also in a way helps you collaborating between teams, as you just mentioned. So that's good to hear. So how were you managing HR and recruitment at PDF Butler before you started using Flair?
Yeah, so before Flair, it was a little bit of a mess, sort of thrown together. What pieces of the HR, sort of absences, holidays, performance reviews were all a little bit disjointed. Because we're spread across the globe, certain countries have slightly different platforms that we handle, like payroll from, etc., like that. So some of those systems had sort of a HR element to them, but there wasn't one unified system that actually brought everybody together to have one place to see all of that key information. So that's what Flair has done for us. Absences, tracking and holidays. So therefore everyone knows who's in and who's not in, etc., which is important to manage, especially during the summer period, of course, where it's everyone's in and out like yo-yos sometimes. That's very key to see it. And also performance reviews were done, basically on a Word doc. So that didn't really lead it to be sort of trackable or have any real accountability. They were then sort of almost done because they had to be done. That's sort of the approach. So now this mid-year just gone, we've actually used the performance reviews to do mid-year reviews of everybody to get everyone's feedback through and sign that off. It was a much more collaborative approach to a review, like it should be, than it was previously. So it's been a big step to almost, I hate to use the word, but professionalize some areas of the business. It's growing pains from a company who's organically funded. We've got no investors, so every penny we make, we put back into the product, etc. So just making these steps just as we grew is important. When you're managing four or five people, as it was at the very beginning, it's very easy to do that on Excel and Word documents. But you go 10, 20, 30 people, it becomes challenging. So that's where Flair definitely helped us save an awful lot of time and make the whole process much more user-friendly for everybody, both employees and managers and across the whole company.
Okay, that's great to hear. And how did you find the implementation of Flair? So you're relatively new to the solution. How did we support you during the implementation?
Yes, implementation was great. So I've got some experience in the past. I used to be an onboarding consultant, so I've done those implementation journeys with customers. So I was familiar with the approach, which was probably a benefit. But the help and support we got from the team and Isabella was fantastic. You know, weekly calls, and it was very much like a phased approach. So let's cover these topics, let's make these actions, let's embed those actions, and the next week we move on to the next. So the phased approach was definitely appreciated. You know, it's implementing Flair alongside obviously the day-to-day job is a challenge from just a purely time resource. So having it broken down into sort of like size chunks throughout those implementation weeks was super beneficial to me. I could make sure I could track everything as well. And where we tracked all that, the Notion board, I believe it was, that was super beneficial because I could go back to go, oh, hang on a minute, I've forgotten that, how that part was done. So all in all, it is very, very easy to pick up. And I knew that, Isabella was always on the phone or via email if I got lost. But actually, the sort of being able to do it yourself was fairly good as well. You know, there wasn't. You definitely had the support, but if you could just get on with it as well, that was beneficial. That you didn't need a Flair consultant there holding your hand. You could actually follow through the steps and implement it, not on your own, but definitely with a lot of guidance. That was definitely good for me personally, having some background. But yeah, I knew Flair were there. If I was completely new to it, they would have been there the whole time.
And perhaps also as a Salesforce ISV yourselves, have you seen any benefits of bringing your HR processes onto something that's also based on Salesforce?
Yeah, 100%. So one of the key benefits why we went with Flair was that it's obviously they're a Salesforce ISV like ourselves. So I'm being able to see some of the information in Salesforce, so I haven't got to jump necessarily into another system. I think that's been beneficial. Building reports out of Flair has been easy because it's Salesforce technology. So from our point of view, from a continuity, that adoption and the implementation has been very easy. So yeah, I highly recommend it. If you're using Salesforce, then it's a great platform to use because it's what you're used to. So therefore, you haven't got like this long-winded trying to get used to a new system or a new back end. It's all familiar to everybody. Our Salesforce admin internally could do all the settings and all that initial setup. That in the back end, that was very easy and very clean and super sort of efficient as well.
We could also do that. Just take reports and just generate documents with our own information because we can use our own tools. And with the information that we have in Flair connected to Salesforce, it's just very easy to get reports or whatever we need in terms of employees.
All right. So maybe the last question, we've spoken a lot about HR processes sort of around the core HR. Are you also using Flair for your recruitment process and talent acquisition?
So yes. So we're still hiring people, and we always will do. I think we're always trying to expand, etc. So we have now started to use the recruitment side of it. So at the moment, we're at a phase where we're building out the careers page. So I've got my marketing team working on the careers page, and then we're going to embed that into our new website that's being built as we speak. But I've been using the candidates and the jobs, etc., to help track through that. So before Flair, with a recruitment point of view, we had like a Word document that the people evaluating a candidate would sort of share between you and have a conversation on Teams, etc. And then, of course, that then gets lost in a Teams chat because you're talking about something else, and it just gets completely swallowed up into that. So now with the evaluation forms, etc., that's been great. Even this week, we've been interviewing someone, so I did the initial interview and provided the feedback. Then my other colleague, Igor, the CEO, could actually look at my notes in Flair, ready for the second interview later this week as well. So that's been a massive benefit. Again, it's all about streamlining our processes, and I think what Flair gives us is efficiency and actually like a one source of truth as well. So we know where it's not in a SharePoint folder, but you've got to remember where that SharePoint folder is. We just go to Flair, and it's in there. So that's been a big step forward again in just driving those efficiencies from an internal point of view.
Yeah, so thanks, Luke and Ivonne, for speaking to us today. And I hope you continue to enjoy using Flair.